Hey, welcome to our new live show. We are streaming live tonight on YouTube, LinkedIn, and Facebook. Pretty soon, we're going to have this streaming to all of our different platforms because, as you notice, I have two additional people on screen with me tonight. And this is our new show, Romeo Charlie, Reality Check. And we all kind of need a reality check when it comes to home defense, when it comes to defense in the public, or when it just comes to overall just handling firearms and being around that community. So I'd like to introduce myself. My name is Jason Piccolo. I have been a 22 and a half year, I'm going to always throw in that half every time there's a half, 22 and a half year federal agent. I've worked everything from the Border Patrol to a special agent with the former U.S. Customs and ICE to special agents with multiple agencies to associate special agent in charge and a whole bunch of awesome, funny titles. I also am a veteran. I am an enlisted veteran, 13 Bravo, back in the 1990s, did a little intel stint in the Guard, and then I commissioned as an infantry officer with a tour in Iraq in 06, thanks to my involuntarily recalled from the IRR. But anyway, I love podcasts, and I also have the podcast, The Protectors Podcast, trademarked. But I'm also, I want to introduce you to two very awesome co-hosts, because this is a co-host. I tend to just like to rap a lot. But let's go around the table. I got Rick Hogg here, and I got Mark Kelley. What's going on, guys?
Man,
Rick,
Jason,
you go first. Look,
all right, buddy.
My resume is nothing compared to these two gentlemen. So let's go, Rick. What do we got going on here?
You're cutting yourself short. So,
yeah,
my name is Rick Hogg. I am the owner of Warhog Tactical. I'm a 29-year, 8-day U.S. Army Special Operations combat veteran. I was also a Special Operations Forces K-9 handler and a Special Forces Advanced Urban Combat instructor. I've taken that along with my 13 combat deployments to both Iraq and Afghanistan and harnessed Warhog Tactical. We provide mobile firearms, tactical, and canine training to law-abiding citizens, military, and law enforcement agencies. We consult for both the defense and firearms industry, and we are getting to launch a K9 product line here shortly. So make sure to check us out at warhog.com. And I am also the co-host of On the Range podcast with Mark. And I think that's a good shoe-in to Mark.
Yeah. Hey, thank you guys for both your service, and I am so thrilled to be here, everyone. Glad you're joining us. My name is Mark Kelley, and I am a U.S. Army combat veteran, 29-year major city law enforcement officer and tactical officer. I'm also the owner of Kelley Defense and co-host of On the Range podcast, and now Romeo Charlie. Super excited about it. And Kelley Defense is also a mobile firearms and tactical training company. And we provide military, law enforcement, civilians with a serious training experience, especially on the civilian side of the house. They might not have access to it. So we're really happy about that. And, you know, Rick and I have been doing the podcast thing for a while now. He and I are lifelong friends, I would say, by this point. Mm-hmm. We've known each other over 30 years, and I am thrilled to be here. And I think the topics we're going to do, this is all Jason's idea, and Rick and I are just happy to be a part of it. And I think everybody's going to enjoy it.
Yeah, buddy.
You know, one thing about my idea is I need 7 more years, because you guys both have 29 years. I love it. It's great. I'll add in some time in the military in the 90s. Okay, so I'm up to like 28. We're getting there. But anyway, gentlemen, one thing I always want to say this right off the bat, and I say this anytime I talk about it. When I talk about defense, I don't want to sell fear. There is way too much fear out there. There's way too many people saying, okay, this is a good time for a photo op. This is a good time for this. I'm going to sell you my product where, oh my gosh, you're going to die. No, what I want to do is that's one of the reasons I got together with you guys. I want to talk about how everyday people, and even not everyday people, but even us like me, I still need to know what's going on in my neighborhood. Sometimes I get laxal diesel, but I want it to be everyday people who come on here and say, you know what? I learned something new. And hey, if you're a 20-something, you're LEO or former military, former this or that, maybe you'll get something like, oh, you know what? I should tell my family about that. Or maybe I didn't think about that before. The topic today is our castle, our home. Protecting our home. And protecting your home doesn't just start at the front door. It starts when you're out and about in a neighborhood. It comes at situational awareness, and it comes up to just everything you could do to prepare and to prevent people from coming to your front door that want to cause you harm or take your items. So Rick, let's go around and talk. You know, one of the big things I wanted to talk to you guys was securing that front door. Mm-hmm. You know, because when you think about home defense, the first thing you ever think about is that front door. And then we'll go on to the other topics as well.
Yeah. So with me, something we've done here at the Hog House is we've got actually 2 front doors. So we've got a security exterior glass door that's a metal framed. It's got nice, dogs on it and everything. So that's kind of layer 1. And then if you want to say the regular home door is layer 2. So again, the whole key part that I think people need to understand is how do you make yourself a harder target than somebody else? Not that you want to see violence happen to your neighbors or that them get broken into, but let's be an honest broker. These guys out there that are looking, to break into homes or do whatever, they're looking for the easy target. And I want to kind of circle back to something you said earlier. It's kind of knowing what are the patterns going on. So before we even kind of look at the front door, you got to kind of understand, is there crime in your neighborhood, in your area? What are they doing? So for example, around where I live at, you got a bunch of people, they'll cruise at night and they're just trying to lift door handles on cars. They're not looking to get into homes, but hey, if sheds are open, if there's no fences to the backyards, they're trying to check that stuff out. So they're just looking for the easy score. There's some other places around where you've got to be cautious because you've got people that will try to sneak into your garage as that garage door is closing. So part of that is, like you said, doing your research prior to finding out, what you've got as far as crime in that area. Make yourself a harder target. Here's the thing. Even if you don't have an alarm system physically in the home, put an alarm sign out there. So the security starts, to me, it's not even at the front door. I'm putting layers out there. I'll tell you straight up, Old Glory flies out in the front yard. 2 reasons. 1, patriotic, but 2, you know what? Somebody going by going, do I really want to sit there and see what he's got going on in there? Is your home, how well is it lit? Looking at your exterior, do you have cameras out there? I mean, you've got so many things, to me, before even kind of looking at that front door, that can actually add to your security.
Rick, I want to interrupt you there. Think about your doors like it's an inanimate object. But when you're walking down the street and you keep your eyes up and you keep attention going, you're not an easy prey. You're not. So when people are looking at your house and they're looking at these stickers that say ADT, this and that, they see the Ring camera, they see even like a fake camera, whatever you want to do. I suggest real cameras just because it's a good have situational awareness. But they're looking at your house as not the easy target. They would rather move on to the next one. But we'll also get into people who are, like us, who have weapons in their family, weapons in the house, law enforcement, military, stuff like that. And the reasons we should go on beyond the secure premise of that, because we don't want people stealing our weapons. That's rule number 1.
Yep.
And that comes down to the stickers on your car and all the other stuff. We'll get into that later on. But think about your house as kind of like, don't be the easy target. So I think you brought up some really great points right there.
Yeah. And I think, guys, I really think that this kind of all starts with the mindset built around thinking about the stuff. A lot of folks, normal folks who are just going about their lives, they go to work, they go to school, they don't even have these type of conversations. And when they start to think about it, it's usually because, they have a young person moving out on their own the first time, or maybe you're a single mom for the first time, whatever. But all of a sudden it starts to become a priority to you, and it can be overwhelming. And we're not looking to do huge changes. These are little teeny tweaks to your mindset and lifestyle, which will make a huge difference. And, the camera systems and those little things that are very easily done by just ordering it online now, those are all good things. But if you're not thinking about what you're doing and having these conversations, how am I going to react, then you're never going to be ready for it. There's not just the exterior. There's not just the, we talk about the layers. That's a great point Rick makes. You have the early warning, you have the deterrence that you guys are talking about with the flags and a barking dog, cameras on the outside, signs. Even if you have or don't have a security system, like you said, Jason, those aren't, they don't look like easy targets. If your yard's in order, you have an American flag up there. Those are all huge things, but you have to have that mindset and have to be willing to have that reality check. I'm not prepared if someone's going to try to break into my place. I want to change that, and I'm going to commit to changing that. That's like number 1.
The door The door is another thing to look at. I have a glass front door. I hate it. I'd like to get rid of it. But the other thing too is like depending on the neighborhood I've lived in, because I've lived in some shady places over the past, and anybody who lives in a military town or anything else like that has lived in these areas. I remember living, and this goes for apartments too. Your apartment is your castle as well.
Mm-hmm.
So I remember Fort Carson, Colorado, lived down the road from a 7-Eleven, people getting shot all the time. And it's just a crazy area. But there's bars that you could put in front of your door. You can leave it next to the door at night. You just slide it right underneath your door handle. So if someone does kick it, it's going to stop them. It's going to it's not going to stop them completely, but it's going to stop them for at least enough time for you to respond, and maybe for your alarm to engage, and maybe for that sound to go off, so you can prepare yourself for what's coming next. The other thing too with that front door is your screws. The screws are historically horrible that screw your door into the frame. You really need to bolster up that frame and also use incredible screws. If you're getting a door put in, make sure that door isn't just there. It's not just a placeholder, because a lot of people don't realize you hit a door once or twice, sometimes the whole frame comes off. Anybody's ever breached or anything else like that, I know both of you know that when you breach something, a lot of times those doors just explode. So from a law enforcement and from a military tactical perspective, breaching a front door, you've probably breached some horrible doors, and you've breached some ones that people have been prepared. Let's turn the tide and say, okay, I'm a criminal. I'm going to breach. What am I looking for? And how are you going to prevent it?
Well, here's my thing, Jason, right? It all goes kind of back to what we talked about, and that's kind of that target analysis. So think about it. You brought up a great point. Hey, just walk around your neighborhood and look around. I know for a fact there's maybe a handful of other homes that have a secondary door in the front. So if I'm a criminal, or let's just say I've got umpteen houses to go breach, and it's like, hey, pick the magic one where old boy's at. Preferably, I'd like to go to the easier one. So that, I think, sets yourself up. And even if it's just, it can be a screen door, but at least it's something, there's almost like two layers there, right? Because again, from the breaching standpoint, you would find some fine, not so much in Afghanistan, but in Iraq, they like to use those double doors. And that was always interesting because there was no standard how they built stuff. So you kind of had to pre-check the door prior to. But, there's U.S. code. So again, breaching in the U.S. gets a little bit easier than some of your homemade stuff overseas. But just like you said, you can still get, even though you don't live in an apartment, there's still bars and other things you can do to fortify that door a little bit better than just leaving what they've got. But it's, to me, if you've got a series of targets, or let me rephrase. If I have a target building, I'm going to go, hey, where's my easiest breach point to get in? Here's the thing. Does it have to be the door? It doesn't have to be. Everyone thinks the door, right? What are you doing for your windows? Because again, are you one of these that, hey, let's open the windows up because the weather's kind of nice and get the air flowing? Now you've in essence opened your home. Wow. So I've just got to take a knife, cut your screen, put my hand in there and just raise it up. There's bolts and other things you can get if you want to add added security, because some of these locking mechanisms, depending how old your house is, may not be the best. So again, it's not always the door. Yes, that is a method. That's the common way that people think. But again, if I'm looking at the full spectrum of getting into a structure, I'm looking for the easiest thing. And that easiest thing might be the window. That door, if I sit there and go, hey, I want to get in there, and go, that door looks a little robust, but you know what? I can just sit there and smash this window, which is usually at kind of that ground level as well to get in. Why do people put bars in their doors and bars in their window? They're trying to cut down, breach points. So,
yeah, there's tons of aftermarket things that you can buy, like the bars and stuff that slide at the foot of these doors. And even if the locks themselves fail, it's still hard to break the entire door. It's going to make a hell of a lot of noise. Like you said, they're looking for an easy target. Most of our theft from autos, even, and burglaries, I would say a very high percentage, if not over 90%, doors were unlocked, keys were left in, or the doors were open and the windows were open. You can have all the best stuff you want. if you don't have the mindset to make sure that all your stuff is locked, you're just asking for someone to come and try your window.
Moved into this house a couple of years ago. It already had this film on it, but I didn't realize it at first. And I was thinking, okay, a lot of sliding glass doors here and there. What is out there to prevent someone from just tossing a chair through a sliding glass door? Well, 3M does make safety and security film.
Yep.
And I'm lucky enough that our house does have the safety and security film on it. But that's for wind damage. That's for smash and grab. That's for a lot of other different things. But it's also another avenue for you to harden up your area. Maybe just the bottom floor windows, you put the smash and grab film on it. You put stuff like that on it, because you never know. I mean, you never know. Oh, Jersey locks. It's have something to do in New Jersey. I lived in Jersey, and when Rick was talking about the doors, I think about the time I did these fugitive operations and drug stuff in Camden, New Jersey, and those front steel doors, the secondary door. Excellent.
Oh yeah,
excellent, man. Good luck. Good a hooligan tool or something like that.
Oh no, dude.
Yeah.
Bring the Bearcat up and hook the chains to it and rip that thing right off, man.
Exactly. Let's hope the burglars and stuff out there don't have that. Now let's go beyond the door. Let's go. You're in your car, and we all know the adage of. I mean, it's different if you live out in the country. Everybody has a Sig Sauer pistol or a Glock sticker or something or the other. I tend to stay away from that. That's common sense. I'm not going to tell you what not or not that put on your thing. But one thing I do a lot of law enforcement analysis for court TV and other things at night, and seeing a lot of these follow home burglaries lately, and not just for people who have fancy cars. So when you're, all of us have done counter surveillance and stuff. It's really not as hard as you think if the people following you aren't like the top tier criminals, which a lot of people aren't. But sometimes maybe don't take the same routes home. Maybe sometimes you look in the rearview mirror and say, that dude's been on me since I went to the grocery store. What are you thinking? What's your thoughts on the follow home burglaries? And one thing I do want to point out before I get your guys' recommendations is you don't have to go straight home. If you think someone's following you, hey, you know what? Counter surveillance. Don't be paranoid, but you can go to the local police department. You can hit Waze and say, "Hey, where's the local PD?" You could just pull in the parking lot, pull right out. Nobody's going to follow you there. The other thing too is you don't drive home somewhere else. I don't, for Uber and stuff, it's kind of mean to do to my neighbors, but I don't put my own address in when I'm getting picked up by Uber. I put the corner. I walk down there, get dropped off the corner, and the same thing when you're followed. When someone you think you're being followed, don't go home. And if you think you're really being followed, call 911 from your phone.
Yep. But here's some tips, Jason, right? So it's, again, like you said, people aren't the smartest that's trying to pull these things off. So let's say, for example, hey, they see you wherever you're out and about, and versus committing the crime there, let's say you're at the grocery store, right? You're sporting a nice ring, nice watch, whatever. Somebody goes, hey, I want to get that. Well, they're probably not going to grab you in the parking lot. Not saying it can't happen, right? But they'd rather find that more secluded spot, which, hey, at nighttime, you pull up in your driveway. Hey, man, I could potentially get a double dip, right? I can sit there and steal whatever items you have here and then go, hey, open up the house and I got free run there. But here's simple things, right? When you're driving home, like I said, you can vary up your routes and do all that other stuff. But if let's say you come to an intersection, put your blinker on. Do they put their blinker on? So if they put their blinker on and then you opt to drive straight, spidey senses should be tingling that, chances of that probably, there's probably something going on, or you put the blinker on to go right and you turn left and they do the same thing. There's all kinds of things you can do to go, all right, hey, at that point, we're just going to burn a route nowhere near the house. Like you said, either find somewhere you can go. Dude, I'm getting on the phone, I'll dial 911. Hey, this is who I am. This is my direction, my path. And I've got somebody that's, following me and I feel uncomfortable. Give me some guidance. Where's the closest officer that I can go find, meet, whatever. So there's plenty of info out there. Heck, we could even do a show as far as, being surveilled or whatever in the future. But you just got to be a little bit smarter and just try to throw some, some indicators there. You can use lights, you can use traffic. There's a bunch of things you can do in your vehicle. Your vehicle is an awesome tool for your survivability if you know how to use it. So,
yeah, again, if you're not paying attention, you're never even going to know it. You're never even going to know it. You have to be paying attention. And you brought up a great point, is when something doesn't feel right, you have to trust yourself enough to listen to yourself when you get those funny feelings. Hey, that just ain't right. Let me make a couple of, counter surveillance turns, see what happens, see if I get followed or whatever. But yeah, those follow-up home invasions, not just, the robberies on the street, those follow-up home invasions are getting big too. I saw a special report last week in California. They're a real big thing. Think about that. You see someone leave Louis Vuitton with a shopping bag. Why do it in the parking lot of the mall where all these, the mall officers and detail officers, cameras, and just nab them as they're trying to get out of their car, Yeah. But a lot of good stuff there. Yeah, you got to pay attention.
And, it gets us to the front door. You get these following people, but they also, there's a reason you have a Ring camera. There's a reason you have peepholes. There's a reason you don't open the door. And don't worry about those little chains. They're not worth a crap. Believe me. But a recent trend too is to, knock, act like you have a delivery, and then the crew rolls up behind you and they break in. So be cognizant of what is getting delivered to your house.
But Jason, I got to cut you off on that one, right? So that's the beauty of having that exterior glass security door. Because you know what? Here's the deal. Can I open my front door? Absolutely, I can. I can take a peek, right?
Yeah.
So my Ring camera gives me so much essay. And here's the bottom line. It's my house. I might opt to go, hey, I'm going to fully expose my firearm.
Yeah.
How about them apples? And what are you going to say? Nothing. And you might just go, hey, you have a nice day. You have a better one, buddy. So your house is your castle, right? And I think it's important, depending what state you're in, you understand the laws with that as well. And I know I'm kind of jumping a little bit ahead here, but you bring up a great point where you've got a lot of these bogus knocks. Hey, I need help. I need whatever. Dude, I'm going to show you my cards. Here they are. Do you want to sit there and gamble today? It won't be beneficial to you, because the state of North Carolina tells me, and I don't like to use the word castle doctrine because it's not the castle doctrine here in the state of North Carolina. The state says if somebody comes into your house unwarranted, you're automatically in fear for your life. So just know what your state laws are. But okay, let's say I do opt to open that door. There's still another layer. And trust me, you got to be a bad boy to sit there and get through that security door. And it's like, do you want to see what this pistol will do? I'd say you probably don't. But I don't have a problem. I personally don't walking around my firearm.
Yeah.
I don't.
And
It's not out there in my hand, right? But if I'm gonna sit there and answer the door, why have it concealed? Why have one more layer? I'm at my house. Hey, dude, you don't like it? Don't come to my house.
if you're not adept to firearms or your local jurisdiction, everything, bear spray. Keep a can of bear spray next to the front door.
Mm-hmm.
That's another thing. There's other areas to do. And Mark, I know you have something you want to throw in something there too as well.
No, I just, that's kind of like the elephant in the room, isn't it? The whole firearm thing. It's just one of those tools that definitely gets the playing field a heck of a lot more even if you're trained and you have a firearm. Let's just face it. Now, like Rick said, if you're not comfortable doing it or whatever, at least have it in your house. Get the training and have that available, that tool available to you. And another thing too, when you're pulling up to your house and you still think things are funny and you're not really paying attention, Jason, you hit on it. Those motion activated lights and those Ring cameras and all these other aftermarket stuff, they're invaluable. It just makes another layer of something that people who are looking for an easy victim aren't going to want to deal with. They'll just pass you by. Yeah.
I do want to, Dan, something really good point right here is I'm carrying 98% of the time at home. Dan, maybe it's in your shower that you're not doing the attitude. No, I'm just kidding. But anyway, it's true. It's like, if you have a firearm, I know I have little kids, not little anymore, but I know they have friends that come over and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
If you have to have it available. And you have to have it in a secure location. 98% of the time, that secure location is on your body.
Yep.
I know for the longest time, coming home, like, carrying a pistol forever, you're kind of like, damn, man, I feel like carrying it at home. But you should have it accessible. And if you do have it on, have your home gun. Many of us have multiple firearms. And if you are, you know what, let's talk. Let's get not everybody listening to this, watching this or whatever in the future, now or whatever, is really into firearms. But if you get into firearms, and I'm not saying you're gonna have to be like a gun nut or anything else, if you want to purchase a firearm for safety, make sure you get the training. All three of us are instructors, and we know so many instructors out there. Get training. Don't just buy it and leave it in your nightstand. Get the training. Yeah. And you know what? I'm glad Dan brought that up, because if you don't have it, you're not going to use it. And that goes at night too, when you're sleeping. Mm-hmm. If you have a safe across the room, we talked about it. Someone knocks that door, you only have a certain amount of time. Hornet spray, there you go. There's a lot of different things you could use to protect that front door. Mm-hmm. One thing I do want to bring up, and this is very great topic for Rick and Mark, is dogs. Mm-hmm. Having a dog in the home. Now I have I think she's about 10-pound killer Chihuahua, Jack Russell, something mix. Mm-hmm. And I also have a coonhound who you could hear her like 3 miles away. But having that dog, I mean, who wants to go up against a house where there's, a dog or there's not a dog? So let's talk dogs.
Well, here's the thing, Jason, right? You bring up a great point. So I'll do comparison, right? So yes, when Duca was alive, I had him here. Do you want to say, was he the guard dog? Yeah, he would go hit somebody if I need him to, right? Do you need a bite dog? You don't, right? You need a companion that will sit there and be barky to give you that early warning. That would, and again, if somebody hears a dog barking, they're not going to mess around. It's no different. When you leave, do you turn a TV on? I got it. You want to save energy, save the planet, yada, yada. Okay, then turn a radio on. Turn something, right? So it sounds like somebody's home. I'll tell you, I'll give you a prime example. You got timer lights. And if you time it right, I can have one turn on here, one turn on over there. Now it looks like people are kind of moving around your house. You got some music playing in the background of the TV. It gives, even though your vehicles may not be present, it gives the persona that there's activity in the house. And again, if the dog is there, if he's barking, regardless whether you're there or not, most people aren't going to mess with it. So I'm 100% with the dog. And here's the thing. If you don't have the dog, can you not put a sign up that says beware a dog? Are they any wiser? I mean, people, again, they're looking for the easy target. 9 times out of 10, they're not specifically going to sit there and go, I'm going to Rick's house. Okay. Are they putting eyes out there? Because at a certain point, you're going to burn your surveillance. And then, that whole thing is gone. So it's just, hey, where's the quick target? I would just caution this. There's been a bunch in the news, whether they're Dutch Shepherds, which is my choice of breeds, but obviously the Malleys are the big thing, German Shepherd, whatever. I personally believe you don't need one of those type of dogs, right? Because most people don't have the time, and they're going to wind up coming home from a hard day's work. Where'd the couch go? Well, the dog destroyed it. You have more open area because your drywall is gone because you don't have time for the dog. So just be aware of that aspect when it comes to the dog. And the other thing is, if you do have a personal protection dog, you've got some liability there. So think about it. Most of these dogs are just trained on equipment, especially you live in the winter areas and they haven't seen a big old puffy jacket. Man, that sure does look like the thing I used to bite. So let's go ahead and take a bite out of crime, and now you've got some dramas. So not that I've ever heard that or seen that happen before, but that's kind of Rick's 2 cents in the dogs, man. But valuable tool, but I don't think you necessarily need that protection dog per se.
Yeah. Just as valuable as like a floodlight or even a camera. They can hear a lot better. They start barking, gives you an opportunity to at least start making a plan. Maybe, throw an extra lock on the door or something, just a valuable tool. But that early warning system from just, even if it's just a little dog, look, they're looking for an easy day. Criminals are looking for an easy day, and they're looking for quite possibly a multiple hit day. You want it to be lucrative. You're going to, if you're going to go to work today and you're a criminal, you want to hit as many places as you can. And you can't do that if you're, got floodlights going on and you're, in the clink 5 minutes after you started. So dogs are great. They don't have to be vicious. They just have to be just loud enough to where they can hear that there's a dog in there. If there's a dog in there, there could be a person in there, or at least they're awake now.
Yeah. Or you flip the light on too, Mark, right? So all of a sudden dog's barking, light comes on, bam. Oh, we got activity. They're going to roll, man. They are going to skedaddle. So
yeah, we're not saying you have to reenact the Home Alone party at Macaulay. You don't have to do that. But a barking dog is a big help for early warning.
I mean, you don't have the paint can rigged up by the front door?
Well, I do.
Okay.
Yeah, but I let the that's because I do.
Yeah. I don't have the shotgun at the door anymore. We just got the paint can, so bam, right there in the face.
Gosh. One thing is like that, so front door, we know we have to protect that. We have to be cognizant. If you don't want people knocking on your door, get the nose. I mean, we're keeping this very basic because I want people to really kind of just take a step back and think.
Jason, the no soliciting sign doesn't work.
I know.
Yeah,
I wish it did.
I didn't think that
dogs
applied to
not.
me. Yeah, I didn't think that applied to me. Really did.
Yeah.
Is your English that poor that you can't read? I think it's a big word. So probably need to change soliciting.
Yeah.
Soliciting to something else.
Lock your car doors. I mean, that's a give me, because nowadays everybody's breaking it. But now, not only are that, they'll come back. They will come back. If they're going to come and get 4 or 5. They're going to hit 4 or 5 houses at one night. They're going to come back. But that also gives back to get to know your nosy Nelly in your neighborhood.
Mm-hmm. I love those busybodies, man.
Yep. One thing I do when I come home at night is I always look at the different cars in the neighborhood. And if it's applicable, what I always do is I run home, and as I'm going down my road, my neighbors probably hate me, but I always run bright lights on because I want to see if someone's sitting in a vehicle. Look outside the vehicles in your neighborhood. If you see a pile of cigarettes, you see anything out of the ordinary, you see a car running in winter and stuff like that. I mean, I think about it as when I used to sit on surveillance. I didn't smoke cigarettes, but if it's cold at night, I'm turning that car on once in a while because I'm not going to freeze my ass off. I mean, look around your neighborhood for cars that seem out of place. Look for work trucks here and there that if it's 8:00 at night, are they still really working? Look at all sorts of different things in your neighborhood and get to know nosy Nelly, because believe me, she's always looking. She doesn't go anywhere. All she does is sit outside and look.
Yeah.
Well, and another good. Sorry, Rick. Go ahead, pal.
No, go ahead, Mark.
I was just going to say, now we have these social media groups. Hey, the cul-de-sac has a group, a friend group or whatever, or a social group. Dude, those are invaluable. Hey, man. Anybody see the package that was supposed to come to my house? It says it was delivered. You know what I mean? Yeah. And then you have the one neighbor who knows everything that's going on, and they might be considered a pain, but gosh, how valuable are they? Like you said, they don't go anywhere. They see everything. They know everybody. They know when they come and go. And then when someone isn't fitting that normal day, they're letting people know, hey, I saw someone, looking around, and then you can confirm if it was a repair guy that you ordered or whatever. But man, join those social groups, be active in them so that you're getting the texts and the messages. I know it's a pain because a lot of times that's their whole life, but it may save you from a crime being committed in your neighborhood or even your house.
And I use that next door one where it's like it pops up every night. It's like it's either next door and Ring has it now too. My Ring's connected to like the neighborhood watch. Someone got stabbed 3 blocks away. I'm like, really? Here? Crazy stuff, man.
But here's one other point too, Jason, on that, right? Is you talk about getting to know your neighbors. Do you actually have a community watch set up? Yeah. So it's I know for ours doesn't have a hard time, if you want to say rotation. It's on the individual who's running the watch. So you got your little placard that goes in your car and sit there and got your little vest, or if you're going out for your walk or doing whatever, but you've got the eyes going. So, hey man, you might sit there and burn a couple loops around the neighborhood. Just go, like you said, hey, do I see anything? Is anything out of the norm? Do we got to call, the PD and just, hey, make a run down here because something's shady out of the norm. So that's another point, when you're looking at your layers, yeah, everyone's about the individual, which, yes, I got it. But how do you, as a community, join forces and work together? So simple, easy thing. Reach out to your local PD. They'll give you all the info. It was super easy to set up for us. Even get a sign out in the neighborhood that says, hey, community protected by or watched by Community Watch, whatever I forget what the sign says, right? But boom, you come in subdivision, it's automatically there. That won't say it's a total deterrent because you still got them licky-loos that want to try to get into cars.
Mm-hmm.
But again, it's just one more, hopefully, layer. You talk about, man, before they even get to your stuff. All right, do they even understand what that is, or how active is it, or who knows? But it's just something else you can add.
Well, there's two things that I want to hit on, and then that's all I have for tonight. And I'll let you guys go on with a couple things you want to end with tonight. One is vegetation. Make sure you don't have vegetation that's really overgrown on those lights or in those areas. There's blind spots. Think about like going back to your fighting position. You want to have your lanes. You want to be able to see what's out there. Same thing with your lawn. You want to see what's going on out there. And your backyard. Make sure your backyard and your side yards are illuminated just as well. Mm-hmm. The other thing, the last thing I have for tonight for me is scenarios. We know if that door gets kicked in, do you know what you're going to do next? Don't think about it when it happens. Before you go to bed at night, just lay there, close your eyes and go, okay, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to reach over here. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. And I'm going to do this. Run scenarios. Believe me, it works. Mm-hmm. Rick, what do you got for us? Your final thoughts for tonight.
Yeah, so the vegetation, I'm in total agreement with you. Kind of goes with the newspapers as well. If we're still getting that form of information and you're gone, make sure somebody else is policing your stuff up. But on the vegetation, your vegetation can work in your advantage as well. So around my house, we've got nature's barbed wire, i.e. the holly bushes. Again, is it going to totally deter somebody? You know what? Hey, if they're looking to kind of make a little sneak and peek here, and they're at a good level, it's not like they're all overgrown and stuff, but it's a nuisance, right? They might be trying to wiggle up to get, hey, let me see if I can wiggle this window. And oh man, it doesn't feel good. That's right, buddy. That's kind of its whole intent. So it can be used at your advantage if done properly. What was the other? Scenarios. Yeah. So when you're running through your scenarios, you've got to think about this. If it's just you and your wife, fairly easy. Now we've got children involved. That's a whole nother piece. And yeah, you can run the scenario through your head, but are you doing it as a family to lay out what's the plan? If something happens, what is kind of your plan, family plan? Hey, kids, are you holding tight? The other thing is you got to think about this. If I do have to take shots in that house, kind of looking at the worst case scenario from the scenario based, where's kind of my no fire area? So again, depending how every house is different. I can't lay it all out for you. I can't say, hey, do this, this, and this. But I know personally, when my kids were living here, there were certain directions shots were not going to be fired just because I did not want to risk anything happening there. And then what tools you talked about, when you're running through those scenarios, what tools do you have there readily accessible? So are you running just your pistol? Are you running your pistol light? Where's your phone? Is mama calling the police? Are you grabbing a long gun? And here's the thing, at least for me, my intent was to never put the phone to my ear. I'm dialing 911 and I'm just giving verbiage. First and foremost, here's my address to get people coming. I'm going to tell you straight up, guys, right? If somebody's kicking in my door, number one, I'm going to say they've got ill intent towards me. Somehow, police like to respond better when you say you've got armed suspects or armed individuals. It just seems to get the motivation going. You know what? Sorry, I maybe I identified him, maybe I didn't. I don't know at that point, but I'd rather get the cavalry kind of rolling. At least that was Rick's scenario, but I'm not having the phone of the ear. You're just getting information because I'm going to give you what I got, and then I'm going to sit there and challenge those individuals coming into the house immediately. And then, oh, by the way, when the kids were there, now we've got to close the distance a little bit because I sure as hell don't want them going towards those kids. So you've got to figure out what's your comfort spot. Where's your spots you can hold up? Where do you have good cover and understand what cover is? Hanging behind drywall is not cover. So don't think that for a minute. If you were to sit there and if you want to say hunker down, at least hunker down behind your bed, because at least your bed's got a little more layering than just nothing. Some of your door frames have a little bit more 2x4-ish, but again, depending who built your house, the construction, what's your code, so many variables to it. Some of you guys live in CMU houses, so that's basically masonry type stuff. It's all, there's so many variables when it comes to that. You have to know what you've got, but you hit the nail on the head. Run those scenarios through your head, have the family plan, and have your tools available if you need them.
Yeah.
Go for it, Mark.
Yeah, I love the rehearsals, and I love having the plan and making sure that everybody knows, what words, if they come out of your mouth, how to react, and make sure that you practice it. You have to practice it. You got to rehearse it. The early warning is huge, not being an easy target. But here's another thing too. We've kind of, this is all things that you need to be thinking about. Those little lifestyle changes, just being aware of your surroundings. You're a college kid, not having your earbuds and your backpack and your phone in your face walking through campus at 12:30 at night. Those kind of things. Have someone with you. Put your phone away for a little bit. Put your headphones out. You know what I mean? Just being situationally aware. But you got to remember the personal security and all these things we're talking about. This is your responsibility. Nobody's coming. It's your responsibility, and you have to take it seriously. And when we get older, we have kids going out there in the world, or you have a young wife and a young son, young daughter at the house. That's when you start thinking about this stuff. You have to take it seriously and pass that along so that everybody's doing the right thing. We tell people not to drink and drive when they're young. We tell them to make sure they look both ways before they cross the street. Why wouldn't we tell them, hey, when you're walking outside, walking from the mall with those new games you just bought, look around and see who's following you. See if there's a bunch of people you don't want to walk by, just stay in the mall and wait till they disperse. But it's your responsibility, no one else's, and you can't depend on anybody else to do it. You have to take it serious.
And that's
your reality check.
Exactly.
Bam.
Reality check.
Bam.
Boom.
Yeah.
And that's the thing is and that's why I said we're not selling fear. If you prepare, you're not afraid.
Mm-hmm.
And being afraid is another way. Get rid of it. Prepare for it. This is stuff you could do. You don't need to go out and buy fancy equipment. These are simple things you could do to get situational awareness and harden your castle. And that is your reality check for tonight. I had to throw that in there too. But Mark,
I love it.
One thing I do want to, thank everybody for tuning in tonight. And we're going to be bringing up shows like this a lot. There are some topics I want to see in the future. And I really want to talk about is we brought up tonight, firearms. Mm-hmm. Not everybody watching this or listening to this has ever held a firearm. Granted, a lot of our community has, but there are going to be people out there who are just getting into it, just understanding it, not being afraid of it. Because after we talk about it, they're going to be prepared to use it. One thing I do want to do is I want to do a topic where we talk about basic pistols, where we talk about concealing a pistol, carrying a pistol, and everything else like that. And the other one thing too is, Mark, both you guys brought up some really great points about situational awareness when you're outside of this castle or even when you're inside it. But gentlemen, I really appreciate you joining me and starting this show off with me. This is great.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
buddy.
awesome,
Great time.
Yeah.
And everybody, thank you. We're going to both, if you check out On the Rage podcast, I'm sure you guys will probably upload this on there. Mm-hmm. I will upload it on the Protectors podcast. It'll be on YouTube. I'm going to share the file with both of these gentlemen so they can have it. And next time when we stream, we're going to try to stream across multiple platforms. So you don't just have to come to my YouTube or their YouTube, my Facebook, or LinkedIn. We're going to figure all that out. But everybody, thank you so much for tuning in to the very first episode of Romeo Charlie Reality Check.